Good evening and welcome into the Mafiacast, brought to the fans by the fans, and this is your one-stop shop for all things Bills every single week. Now here are your hosts, Mike Yanni, Ronnie Eastham, and Casey Cita. I don't.
We can't go one show without me being muted. It's got to be a
Is that
tradition.
what's going on? I thought you were just I thought you were just laughing at something else.
Welcome everybody to this week's episode, or this Monday episode of the Mafiacast podcast, brought to you by Game On Video Games and Sports. I'm Casey, and today I will be your host with Papa Ron out on vacay in enemy territory in Kansas City. And I'm partnered here with Mike. It's been a while since you guys have seen Mike. I don't think we talked about it, but during our hiatus, we made some changes to the show, and Mike went more behind the scenes. And today he's going to be filling in for Ronnie. Mike, welcome back, buddy.
Yeah, behind the scenes where I belong. You know, I feel more at home there. The whole speaking thing is I don't know. It's more new to me. I'm always nerded out on the computer and doing other stuff. But yeah, it's good to be back. Glad to be here once again, and talking some more Bills football. But yeah, Ronnie, I don't know what the heck he's thinking out westward in the Mahomes territory, but I don't know.
He said he was there for work, so I had to ask. I was like, why are you that? Like, what is the reason you're in Kansas City? I was like, and the only explanation I could think of was for work. So I'm like, who the hell goes to Kansas City for a vacation? I'm like, they're like, the only reason people go to Kansas City is during the fall and winter for football. Other than that, like, I don't see a reason.
Yeah.
People can crap on Buffalo for not being a destination city. We can do it too.
Yeah. Well, from what Ronnie says, just the billboards alone are enough to keep me away.
Yeah, right. I know. It would disgust me. Now imagine how all the Jets fans feel down in New York City with Josh Allen's Gatorade poster just hanging there. Just being like, you've got to be kidding me. We finally got a good quarterback in Aaron Rodgers, and still someone else's quarterback is on our billboard.
Yeah. Well, he's the real deal now.
True.
Aaron Rodgers, he's a question mark these days.
Right. So, okay, before we really dive in, like, what do you think of Aaron Rodgers at this point? Like, what do you realistically think he's going to do this year?
Well, my expectations this year of him are the same as they were last year. And I don't know, we saw what happened. Like, exactly how I said it. I think he is a question mark. I mean, who really knows what's going to go on there? I don't think he's going to save the Jets.
It's the Jets are trying to beat Father Time with the line that they put together with Morgan Moses and the other tackle that they brought in with Mike Williams coming over for the Chargers, and now Aaron Rodgers there. I mean, that has to be one of the oldest rosters in the entire NFL. You know, it's on paper, you look at it and it's like, wow, like look at all the names they got. Like it's impressive. And on paper, it's definitely one of the best rosters top to bottom in the NFL, in my opinion. But then you look, okay, 36, 35, 33 years old, 42 years old for their quarterback. It's like, how long can that be sustained over a 17-game span? And I don't think so. You know, there's not a chance that all those old heads make it 17 games. You know, maybe 3 of them do, you know, and that it's going to their season is going to really depend on which 3 of those do, and it solely relies on Aaron Rodgers being one of those 3.
Yeah, well, let's just hope. Even whether he's playing or not, I'd like to think we don't have to worry about them. But you know, it's one of them teams we like to struggle with sometimes.
They give us fits every year. In one game, they always like just are nipping at our heels or win it. And then the second game, we always blow them out of the water. Like it's never close. Like a couple years ago, that like the Mike White game when Matt Milano broke him in half, you know, after losing to them earlier in the season. And it's like, it makes me think of like a little brother, big brother thing to where like the little brother's finally getting old enough and like strong enough. and he catches Big Brother by surprise with one shot to the jaw. And then Big Brother next time's like, all right, let's put him back in his place real quick. Like one of those type deals.
Yeah. Well, what you got me thinking too is that the Jets situation is like the opposite of another rival of ours. I'm going to call it the Chiefs, because we always seem to beat them first.
Yeah.
It was tough to not do that, but it's just one of those teams where you go 1-1 with them. You can count on it every year.
You're 100% right. And I'd say for the last couple of years now, everybody has seen that as kind of the same thing, a big brother, little brother, to where we're always right there. We just can't get that last swing on them, and we get the wins, but it's in the regular season. Now, yes, the regular season matters for seeding. And last year they finally had to come to Buffalo for a playoff game. And unfortunately we still didn't win, but I feel like we're still little brother to them, and everybody will be as long as they're going to Super Bowl year after year after year. But I still think we're the closest team, because we do have their number. Like, we have beaten them. We've shown that we can beat them. And I think with the new team that Sean McDermott and Brandon Beaton have built this year, teams aren't going to know how to defend the Bills as well as they have in the past, because everything is new. Complete new scheme, complete new wide receiver room. Dalton Kincaid is presumably going to take an even bigger step than he did in his rookie year. James Cook, fourth in the league in overall yards from scrimmage last year. Like, we have good pieces coming back and good new pieces coming in. So to me, I have a feeling it's going to be something like 2021, 2022, to where like we don't roll through the regular season, but like we still win the AFC, but we do what the Bills do every year. We hit our stride with 4 games left in the season, and we just go into the playoffs steamrolling.
I know, and it's tough to keep that thing rolling. But man, I forgot what I was going to say. But it's the end of the year. It's tough right at the end of the schedule, because you feel like you have to go on like the biggest run of the entire year at that point in time.
Well, so the NFL,
like looking for that loss we can get out of the way right at the end of the season, and it's sometimes it's not a game you want to lose either.
Well, that I was kind of doing that in 2021, the year 13 seconds happened. Or 2022, whatever year it was, because all of a sudden, we got on a roll. We were, 6-6 and ended up 11-6, and just steamrolling teams the back half of the season. And I'm sitting there having the same thought process as you. I'm like, all right, what game can we drop?
Yeah.
So that, like, you never see teams, it's 4. If you play in the wild card, that's 4 games you got to win the playoffs. So if you win 4 games going into those playoffs, that's an 8-game win streak. You're going undefeated for half a season. That's, that's
incredible.
Wild. Yeah, that's incredible. Like not many teams can ever do that. So like you, I like that thought process of, where can we drop a game? Just to, bring yourself back down to earth, and then be like, all right, we got to build ourselves back up and get going again.
Yeah. And
but
tell you what,
go ahead.
I'm just saying, you were talking earlier about the new pieces we have and things like that, and how it reminds you of other years, but I don't know, it just feels good, having a fresh start, new faces, and just, like change a little bit different style of play. Like you said, the defense is harder to prep for us maybe a little bit this year. And you got Josh Allen practicing throwing the ball differently. He's saying, I got to throw the ball higher because this group of wide receivers is different than we've seen in recent years.
Yeah, they're not the Smurfs. Remember when Sean McDermott called them, the wide receiver room, the Smurfs? Like, I mean, that actually says something that I never thought about that. But like Josh has to put the ball in different places. Another 6 inches higher. Those 6 inches are going to truly mean the world.
Yeah, and it's something he was conscious of. It seems early in camp that, this is something I have to work on because it is different.
And we saw how often he went to the digs, the back shoulder right in the hip pocket. Mm-hmm. That hip is going to be more so like at Diggs' rib area now, with how tall like Mac Hollins and Keon Coleman are. So, like, if he's got to throw it that much higher, that gives us the defensive player a better opportunity, getting his arm out. He doesn't have to go down and out. He can just go straight out with his arm and make the contact, try to push the ball out that way. Yeah, that's a whole new learning curve. I never thought about that.
But hey, like I said, we're changing, and hopefully it's just gonna make it just a little bit more difficult for the defenses to catch on.
Right. So real quick, one last thing about the schedule. So how we were talking about how we always roll into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like the NFL has caught on with that, to where the first, look at our first 5 weeks. It's a gauntlet, and we play the Ravens, the Dolphins, the Jaguars, somebody like, and two other fantastic teams like the Cardinals, who got Marvin Harrison Jr. They're going to be better than they were last year. They're going to have a healthy Kyler Murray and a healthy the Cardinals at full strength now that they have
Texans.
Marvin Harrison
Did you mention
Jr.
Texans?
And the Texans, week 5.
Yeah.
So there we go. And the worst team we're going to be playing is the Cardinals, and they definitely got better this offseason on the offense. Their defense, to me, is still very suspect.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the first 5 games are hard. But you look at the back half, the last 2 out of the last 3 weeks, we play the Patriots. Those should be walkthroughs.
Yeah. But no, that's them trying to sabotage us.
See, I think it's so it's the Patriots. I can't remember who, the rest of the schedule off the top of my head.
I know, I haven't looked at it in a while.
It's an easier much easier back half of the schedule. And I think that the NFL is setting up to where the Dolphins have an easy first half, the Bills have a hard first half, and then vice versa in the second half.
Yeah.
So I think they're really looking at letting the Bills chase the Dolphins down again. I don't know if the NFL script writers just think that is one of the funniest things you would ever heard of, and watching the Dolphins collapse 2 years in a row. But it kind of seems to me like that's what they're doing.
Yeah. And then, I think you're right too, because of the second half of the season. If you really look at it, there's only really 2 teams on there that you feel like you have to worry about, and that's the Niners and the Chiefs.
Correct.
We should be able to win at least one of those games.
And those are weeks 12 and 13. So after that, or somewhere around there, 12 and 14, something like that. And then after that, it's very winnable games for Josh. For Josh, I'll just say it, for Josh Allen. He's the second best quarterback in this league. There's no doubt about it. If you have the second best quarterback in the league, unless you're playing number 1 or an absolute stud of a team in the 49ers, you're going to have a very good chance at winning those football games.
Yeah.
All right. So enough of the schedule. Let's get into what's going on recently. And let's start with some injuries. So Cole Bishop's still out. Mike Edwards still out. They're week to week. What is your... I'm trying to find out the way I want to word this. So who do you think is going to start at safety now? Do you think with Bishop and Edwards being out, do you think DeMar Hamlin's going to just run away with the safety competition, and then safety number 3 is going to be a battle between who can basically get back healthy first?
Mm-hmm.
And then when they're both back healthy, then truly let the battle begin for 3 and 4, because I think this really puts Edwards on the chopping block with the fact that Cam Lewis can play safety and nickel. So the fact that he can play both positions, that there's really only a need for one more safety, and that would be Cole Bishop. They're not going to cut their second round rookie.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, you could count on that. But the big thing is too that these injuries are a huge setback. And then we just also signed 2 players. I don't know. I know at least one of them was a safety.
Kareem Jackson. Yep.
Yeah. So you're you're behind schedule with these guys. Listen back to the press conference. They kept talking about, you have to ramp these guys up the correct way. And if you're injured and you're not getting these reps at camp right now, you're not going to be where you need to be when this regular season gets started. So they're relying on guys that know this defense, they're putting more on, Rapp's shoulders because he's been here and, he stepped up last year, but all these guys across the board are stepping up more this year, trying to lead more, trying to communicate better. So this is a team where you have to be, in the mix. We talk about it, can be sort of complicated. You have to know this defense, and you got to give it to the guys that have been here at least a year or two. And yeah, the injuries is just, that's all it is. It's a huge setback, and these guys are behind schedule on getting where they need to be starting on this team.
Let me ask you this.
So I'm thinking Hamlin is going to be
the starter next to
I'm thinking that's who we're going to see week 1. Yeah.
I agree. Before the injury, did you expect Cole Bishop to start?
I don't know if
Did you think he was going to, and did you want him to? Two separate questions.
Both. I wouldn't have been surprised if he started a game.
I mean week 1.
It's just hard to say without him at practice right now. But before, right. I wouldn't like to rule it out, but he wouldn't be starting instead of Rapp. Rapp is our kind of rocket safety position right now as far as communication and knowing the defense. So if he was starting, it wouldn't be there. It would be at the other spot where Hamlin would be.
Right. So I didn't think
I feel like we got robbed of this battle, of this learning opportunity,
For sure. We definitely got robbed of a legitimate position battle. Yeah. Like the definition. Mm-hmm. Although I didn't expect Cole Bishop to start week 1. I thought it would be Mike Edwards. And then I was like, all right. And then everything with DeMar Hamlin started coming out. And I was like, it sounds like it's going to be DeMar. Yeah. But in my opinion, I was like, it's either Mike Edwards starts, or Mike Edwards very well might not make the team. Right. Because of the Cam Lewis and position versatility and the draft and capital they spent in Cole Bishop. They'll just deal with it that way. Now, I can't remember if they keep 5 safeties or not. I don't think they would, or they do, especially with somebody being able to play the nickel and safety as Cam Lewis does. Mm-hmm. But so to me, this has got to be worrisome for Mike Edwards, unless they've assured him, hey, you coming back, you're going to be the starter or whatever, blah, 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 blah. Because we did see last year, Terrell Bernard missed all of the preseason. Came out week 1 and started every game until he got hurt.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying it's impossible, but right. I wouldn't be entirely shocked if Mike Edwards still came back and played this and started week 1 if he was healthy, right. Or even Cole Bishop if he did show that much. But I don't think he has shown enough to the coaches just by how they're talking about him.
Yeah. Mike Edwards
to play.
Mike Edwards would have to be, ahead of him, I would say, with just the experience. But you throw the injuries into thing, and it just throws a wrench in the whole vision, But yeah, so Mike Edwards, I guess I'm mid-season with him right now after hearing how they have to get guys up to speed and hiring another safety and things like that. So I definitely I think he definitely not coming week 1. I'm not expecting to see him.
No, and especially with a hamstring. We've seen it a million times. Guys, okay, they're out 2 weeks. They come back that first game, even on a snap count. One wrong move, they're done for 6 weeks again. Mm-hmm. So it's one of those things. You might as well bite the bullet and just let the player rest until he's actually healthy, and then come back and reassess who you want starting and where. Right. But I don't want either of these players coming back, like I just said, until they are fully healthy. I don't want another Von Miller situation. I don't want these guys being able to say, I'm good to go, put me on the field.
Yeah. And then have an off year.
And then have an off year and then come back next year and say, oh, that's my bad. I shouldn't have played.
Well,
I understand his reasoning, chasing to be in the top 10 in sacks. I get it. I truly do. but it still pisses me off.
Yeah.
So on to another position of injuries. Wide receiver. We saw Andy Isabella go down today, carted off. They said it was a lower leg injury. I haven't heard any more recent updates about it. I don't know if you have, but whenever a player gets carted off, it is never good.
No.
Thankfully, like it wasn't like he didn't not lacerate, but snap his leg completely
something
in half,
physically broken.
Yeah, they had to bring an ambulance directly to the field. Thank God that didn't happen. But nonetheless, he still got carted off. Yeah. And Chase Claypool still out with his toe injury.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think this wide receiver room is kind of shaking, like the opposite of what the safety room is doing? It's where the injuries are kind of making the decisions a little bit easier for the coaching staff to where, okay, the Claypool hype has calmed down a bit. Not that there was ever too much hype about Andy Isabella after this year. Last year, I was on the Andy Isabella train because we needed something at wide receiver.
Yeah.
But with Tyrell Shavers stepping up and playing out of his mind, and these two guys going down, we see KJ Hamler getting a lot of returning opportunity, like kick and punt return opportunities. Same with Daquan Hardy, the rookie corner out of Penn State, getting opportunities. Do you think that in the press conferences, like McDermott, like you, whoever said it, was like your best abilities availability. You can't be up to speed until you're out here practicing, getting ready for getting ready for the regular season. Do you think that this really cuts Claypool's chances of making the team? And same with Andy Isabella. I mean, as long as he is okay.
Right. Yeah, I do think it hurts. And there is stress on that now is go time and we do need the reps there. And you might see other guys that are, running with the ones at practice or something, or that's just because somebody needs rest or needs to take a play off or something like that, maybe. But yeah, I think like the injuries, like they set out pretty much kind of almost setting in stone what our safeties are going to look like week one. And then, a little bit on the wide receiver too. It's helping it kind of shake out, which you don't want to see that.
Right. You never want to see
you a better idea of what you're looking at maybe.
So now that since we're on the wide receiver topic, I'm going to bring this up. Keon Coleman. What is your definition of a bust?
Not him.
Explain further.
No, I don't really know. But a definition of a bust is a player who was supposed to be the greatest ever at that position, or the hype is so high, as a rookie or whatever, or maybe it's a trade or some sort of free agent signing with all these hopefuls. A lot of people say Von Miller was a bust. I'm trying to think, players like Kelvin Benjamin was kind of a bust. I'm drawing blanks here at.
Would you say Trevor Lawrence was a bust?
Not yet.
Number one overall
maybe.
Pick, more turnovers than he has touchdowns, or 50-50 basically. But just signed
does he have the team around him?
With the money that they gave him, I would have to assume so.
Yeah. Sammy Watkins.
Yes.
So he came here as a rookie, right?
Yeah, we drafted him, traded the farm for him to get up to fourth overall.
So that's you can't really say. I don't want to bring up that term closely associated with Keon, but it could be a lot of things. It could be just you're not built for the NFL, or it could be your career goes south for whatever reason, injury wise, or you're just not a fit in wherever you were sent. So that would be a bust to the Bills, but maybe it wouldn't be a bust to him later in his career.
What if I'm going to present you some scenarios, whether you think this would be, if Keon Coleman had this stat line to finish the year, if you would consider it a bust. 60 catches, 640 yards and 4 touchdowns.
No. Well, I don't know how many drop
out of
balls are in
17
there.
games.
How many targets out of those 60 receptions?
Right. But that's a valid question. That's a very valid question. You know, so say he goes 60 for 70, 10 drop balls, which is high, astronomically high.
But if 4 of them are touchdown passes and it should have been 8,
right?
You know, then
there's always context. There's always context.
Mm-hmm.
But so say he goes out and he goes 73 catches for 700 and some 50 yards and 2 touchdowns. Bust?
No way.
That's Dalton Kincaid's numbers last year.
Right. He's not a bust.
But how many people, in the national media, you know, they're big in between to where he's the next Travis Kelce and that he was a bust.
They're just haters.
That he was a big pick.
They're just not Bills fans.
That's the stuff that because everything has context, you got to be able to talk it out and figure it out, because in my opinion, you don't know what a bust is until it happens. It's just one of those things. It's Sammy Watkins to me wasn't a bust until we traded him. And then when we traded him, he was a bust because he ran his course with this team. He never hit the ceiling that you would expect from a 4th overall pick. And next thing you know, he's in LA. And it's just one of those things to where unless Keon goes out and has the same, has a Sammy Watkins career, it's just got to be better than that. And in my opinion, it won't be a bust. And as long as, say it's 6 for 650 and 5 touchdowns this year, if he goes 75 and 800 and 8 touchdowns next year, that's great. That's a phenomenal step in year 2, because in year 3, we see all these players in Sean McDermott's teams take these massive leaps in year 3.
Mm-hmm.
So if he can ramp up that way, I think that's going to be really good.
Right. But I mean, all the numbers you've thrown out, I would be more than pleased with any of those stat lines from Keon this season.
So I'm going to ask you a question, but I'm going to ask it to you after we hear from John at Game On Sports.
All right.
Hey, this is John from Game On Video Games and Sports Memorabilia. We are Rochester's premier trading card store. We have a wide selection of trading cards, autographs, and memorabilia. We also do autograph and celebrity appearances in the store. So if you're looking for the perfect gift for yourself, relative that doesn't like the Bills, or for a friend, come down and check us out at our Rochester location, 2670 Dewey Avenue, or our Hamburg location at 1 Buffalo Street. Go Bills.
Go Bills. Thanks, John. Once again, that's Game On Video Games and Sports Memorabilia. Locations in Greece and Hamburg, New York. Go check them out. Always all sorts of cool stuff. And you never know who you might run into there. I know Pete was talking about the Hamburg location. He's like, I didn't know about that.
That's right. He said he was going to take a trip up there next time he was in town.
Yeah.
He said it was this week or something.
Yeah.
So my question to you about Keon Coleman is, what would you consider a disappointment of a season by Keon?
I don't know. Less than 500 yards. That's kind of bad, right?
That's fair.
Yeah. Well, like I mentioned earlier, dropping balls in key moments. If you said 4 touchdowns, but what if 4 of his drops that year are in the end zone? Out of the 10 drops, he might have, then, something like that, you start to worry about. Situational type stuff is what I think you want to pay attention to.
So,
I mean, he's going to get the targets, right? He's going to have some sort of
with Curtis Samuel, Khalil Shakir, and paid.
Right. He's gonna get his share of targets, I guess. He might not get as many as Kincaid. He's looking at one of our top guys. But if he can keep the situational stuff under control, not drop balls like we've seen other players do, and just, in key moments, make it happen when he needs to.
I think that's what I'm looking forward to is I'm not necessarily worried about the overall stat line to finish out the season. Now, yes, if he comes in under 40 catches, 470 yards and 2 touchdowns. Yes, that like you'll notice it. It will be disappointing.
Yeah. Next year we'll be like, oh, this has to be it, or we're
it'll be Kyrie Elam all over again.
Yeah.
100% it'll be Kyrie Elam all over again. But if he comes in and he had, like my first stat line I mentioned, 6 catches, 650 yards, 4 touchdowns. But he makes the important play when it's asked of him. That's what I look for. I'll be looking for most, because I think they're going to rely a little bit more on Curtis Samuel and Khalil Shakir and Dalton Kincaid, a little bit more, to get the rookie comfy, more like settled in a little bit. And then as the season goes on, ask him to do more. There's, and we both play fantasy football. There's a big thing in fantasy football when it comes to rookie wide receivers, to where look at where their bye week is. Rookie wide receivers skyrocket fantasy football value wise because they take off for whatever reason after their bye week. Whether that's my feet are wet, the nerves are gone, like I'm back just playing football. I'm back home. I had a couple days off here. I relaxed. Now I'm back at it, and they're going to be back in their regular game mode. They're going to be comfortable now. Now we have a late bye this year. We don't have time for Keon to wait 12, 13 weeks. I'm sorry, buddy, but we don't.
Not necessarily. No.
I would expect after 6, 7 weeks for him to really be comfortable and gelled into this, and like not force anything on him. I mean, if he's ready, give him the damn ball. But if he's not ready, don't make him. That's why you have Kincaid and Shakir and Curtis Samuel and James Cook and Dawson Knox.
I got a feeling he's ready, man. I mean, these guys are practicing touchdown celebrations, at practice. So it's one less thing to get anxious about, because it's coming, man. I just feel it.
I got to be honest. I've looked at some FanDuel and for season stats. And let me, I don't have time to look it up what it is now, but Keon Coleman, I'm going to pound the over for receiving touchdowns this year. I think he's going to get 11 touchdowns. I genuinely think that he's going to be the guy that leads us.
Tell me the line's like 9. There's I
bet you the line's like 7, probably like 6 or 7. Yeah, probably 6.5, 7.5, something like that. But I think he's going to hit double-digit touchdowns, be somewhere right around what he had at Florida State last year. 70 catches, 600 yards, and 11 touchdowns. That's what he had at Florida State. I expect that same kind of usage, to where we've seen the connection he and Josh already have in the end zone in training camp.
Mm-hmm.
I fully expect that to carry over, and that trust to carry over in the regular season. And Josh is already, and historically has been, truly historically, one of, if not the best red zone quarterback.
Yeah. So at that point, would you have said we found our number one?
No.
No, I mean, if Keon puts up all of those numbers this year, if you pound the over and you hit the over on the touchdowns and all that.
No, I still wouldn't say we found our number one.
Right. Okay.
Our number one wide receiver. My opinion, and I've shared this with you guys since we drafted him, that we drafted our number 2 wide receiver who's going to be very good. Everybody thinks we're going the same way as the Kansas City Chiefs. We're going the way of the Bengals. So only, God forbid, oh my God, Josh Allen gets hurt, which is how the Bengals ended up, losing Joe Burrow and getting the 5th overall pick in order to select Jamar Chase. The year prior, they selected T. Higgins at number 33.
Yeah.
So I think that we are going the way of the Bengals. And next year, if you look at it, now I understand we're a year away and contracts are going to come rolling through for these guys. But if you guys go out and look at the list of free agent wide receivers that are coming out next year in 2025, it's a very good like class. Nothing like it was this year. It was soft this year. The fact that Gabe Davis and Marquise Brown were some of the top names on the market. That I loved Gabe Davis with all my heart when he was here, but like that dude isn't a top echelon wide receiver. So the fact that was talked about as that in the class just goes to show you. But next year, CeeDee Lamb's, he's sitting out of training camp right now. He's being fined every day.
Mm-hmm.
I still assume they're going to get a deal done. It's CeeDee freaking Lamb. But I think we're either going to trade for somebody next year because we're going to have a massive amount of cap space before any restructures. I think we're either going to trade for somebody, i.e. Brandon Ayuk, in the middle of the season and extend him, or we're going to go out and use our cap space and get one of the top receivers in next year's free agency.
So take that for what it's worth. You got me going.
I don't know much. I just talks it like I thinks it.
That's funny though. Could you imagine though?
I can. I've said it all the whole time. I think Keon Coleman was the Gabe Davis replacement. I think it's replacement by committee for days between Khalil Shakir and Keon and Curtis Samuel, and then run it back with running backs and tight ends because there's nothing wrong with those rooms. We even added Ray Davis. We unfortunately didn't bring back Latavius. That's just a heartfelt thing. I understand that he is getting older. In the Bills, this was an inflection of youth, and they weren't going to go in. That's why they didn't go out and get Justin Simmons, the 31-year-old safety or however old he is. There's a reason we brought in the guys we did. They're still, they're in their 20s. They're younger. The last couple of years, we have been one of, if not the oldest team in the NFL. It was time to give.
Yeah. We got Papa Ron chiming in here. Keon will outperform Davis in Davis's rookie year. And he don't think Bean is going the diva route.
I mean,
they're not all divas, right?
We'll talk on Thursday, Papa Ron. We'll talk on Thursday. You just try to survive out there in Kansas City, and I hope, like you texted us and asked if you should, I hope you're wearing Bills gear.
Yeah, you better be. Give it all them Chiefs fans that go Bills.
Exactly.
We're going to see them.
And then they start pointing to the rings, and then just punch them.
And then you can't really say much. But yeah, this influx of youth, as you were saying, it what I see is like a lot of guys being asked right now across the board, stepping up into that leadership role where they're communicating, where they're helping the younger guys come up. It really is it's been trust the process for how many years now, right? So I think we're really starting to see it kind of set up nicely. Who knows? We got some rough spots that we're a little worried about right now, but things definitely seem to be looking up here and there. I can't hear you for some reason.
Sorry. And what team doesn't? It's August. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like it's so early. And anything can happen. We look at the Bengals last year. Everybody was picking them to, win the AFC at some points. Next thing you know, they're, I think they went 9-7 with a backup quarterback.
Yeah.
So, Mike, unless you've got anything else, man, I think we're pretty good. I think we've wrapped it up.
Close to our time limit. Yeah, I mean, just thank everyone again for watching. Whether you tuned in on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, we're live. Whether you're listening to us recorded, just appreciate it. Find us everywhere. Subscribe, tell your friends, all that good stuff. It's about all I got.
I don't have anything else. We'll see y'all on Thursday. Papa Ron, I think we'll be back. I'm not sure. As long as he makes it through. As long as he makes it. Just as long as he makes it.
Just get through Kansas City, Ron, and never go back.
Right. Unless it's for a game, then go back.
Oh yeah.
But until Thursday, everybody, thanks for watching. Check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Give us a like, subscribe, share, tell your friends. Go Bills.
Go Bills.